I'm a killer, bring it back.
What up, fuckers? How you doing? This is the 500th episode of Guys We Fucked.
Honestly, just doesn't feel 1 over 499, I would say. I mean, what an incredible journey we've been on.
What a fucking journey.
500 episodes.
Congratulations, guys.
Thank
you, Michael.
Someone needs
My
to
have we
say it.
grown? My
Thank
have we
you.
grown? I mean, yeah. Seriously, congrats to us. I was reflecting a lot on 500 episodes of Guys We Fucked the past couple days because I knew we were going to be recording this, and I mean, if you would have told 23-year-old me all the fucking things that was going to happen to me.
How old you were when we started?
I may have been 24.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, I was 20. No, I was 23. I was 23.
Wow.
If you would have told 23-year-old Krystyna all the things that would have been like, you're going to break up with Steven. You're going to find out your dad's not your biological father. You're going to stop talking to your parents. You're going to move to Brooklyn, which is, you know, good and bad stuff has happened. And just, you're going to go through like terrible depression. You're going to become obsessed with death and psychic mediumships. Like, wow. I would have been like, you're taking crazy pills, but here I am.
Yeah, and for me, I would have been like, your idea for this was to heal and make yourself better, and it's actually made your life significantly worse besides the money part.
Right.
So, you know, we all live and we learn. We live and we learn.
Well, it's sorry, I don't mean to rub it in your face, but I feel like it's made my life better. So thank you. For affording me that opportunity.
I think when you have this is kind of what we've unpacked here. You know, when you have a bad childhood, you have nowhere to go but up. When you had a good childhood,
right.
you have nowhere to go but down. So and I learned that.
It's one of the biggest lessons we've learned here on
Yeah.
Guys We Fucked.
Yeah.
It's the constant
grown
through
man.
line of this
It's
season.
really cleared everything up, but also then you go, you know, if I knew then what I know now, no one with a nice childhood needs to pursue fame. It's the dumbest idea.
Mm-hmm.
There's no healing properties in it because there's nothing. You're
not trying to make up
having parents that like
Right.
you.
Right.
I mean, honestly,
Your parents are already proud of you.
Yeah, I go. What is this? I don't know what the point of this is.
Right. Yeah.
Not really
Meanwhile,
any.
I'm getting a lot of value from it. So, you know, it's this, we've learned a lot on this podcast. You know, if it's not fully erect, it cannot go in. No grown man wants to be your friend.
Yep.
And if you had a bad childhood, it's going to get a little better at least. And if you had a good childhood,
I guess it could go the same. I guess it could
Plateau.
it could like plateau if you had a bad childhood.
Yeah, for sure. But if you had a good childhood and then, you know, you expose yourself to the world in the ways that we have.
You get feedback from a lot of people with a bad childhood. You know what? Also, something that I've been learning as the internet goes on and on. It's like I was like scrolling through Instagram last night, and I was like, man, a lot of people with like inaccurate or information or just absolutely dumb ideas come into my brain quite often because of accounts that I follow, and I'm like, just be like careful about the kind of stuff you're intaking online because just because someone says it confidently doesn't mean it's like at all correct.
So true.
There's a lot of dumb pop culture therapy on fucking Instagram,
and they don't have a Chad to fact check it, so they can just say whatever the fuck they want.
It's also things like therapy accounts. There's no real fact checking you can do because it's also like people making up names and like excuses for just bad behavior.
Right.
And I don't think they're like, this is why, you know, I follow also like a lot of OCD accounts and like they'll blame things on OCD that have nothing to do.
You know
with
what?
OCD.
I've realized
absolutely nothing.
I've noticed the same thing with childhood trauma. I'm like, there's a difference between having childhood trauma, learning about yourself, understanding it, and then healing yourself. There's between that and then making it your identity.
Yeah.
No one needs to make it their identity. Okay. We can heal ourselves and then we move on to something else.
Yeah, that's just the one chick that I follow. I go, every moment of your day must be about having obsessive compulsive disorder because this is completely out of hand.
Talk about
crazy.
obsessive.
Yeah, it's like she's obsessed with having obsessive compulsive disorder, and I go, that's counterproductive.
Yeah, we do really need to be mindful of the diet of media that we're taking in. And one of the things that I'm proud of with Guys We Fucked is I feel good putting something fucking good out into the ether. That's like, you know, self-reflective and you know, just a grounded conversation in a world that's just fucking insane.
Well, yeah, even with this show, when people, will be like, oh, this is my Bible. It's like, okay, they should have multiple sources that you're taking from. Like, if you are agreeing with everything we say, you don't have a mind of your own. You know?
Well,
this is based on our own personal experiences. So obviously there's like bias.
Askew. I like when a lot of people hear this a lot. Like, I don't always agree with everything you say, but I like the show, and that's I like that. Good. You shouldn't agree with everything I say.
Yeah, that's like should be mostly everyone's relationship with anything that they find appealing.
I agree. So welcome to the 500th episode, guys. We're so excited. If you're a Luminary subscriber, thank you. We appreciate you. And just so you know, you get 2 extra bonus episodes of Guys We Fuck per month with a Luminary subscription, and you could subscribe right on Apple Podcasts. So and I highly recommend it, because goddamn do they have some fucking good podcasts. And you know we're not just saying that because we don't fucking do that. Okay, we've had a lot of ad reads that I had to have Corinne do because I couldn't. I'm gonna stop talking. So yeah, if you want to write us, it's sorryaboutlasttnightshow@gmail.com. You know the address. And then
also New York Comedy Festival. It's coming up. There's a bunch of shows that you need to go to next week, starting on Tuesday, November 8th. I am doing a midterm elections watch along at the Doped Up Comedy Club at 66 Greenpoint Avenue. So please get tickets to that. The link is in my bio on Instagram. I'm at Philanthropy Gal. And then Thursday, November 10th at 7 p.m., Vaughn DiCarlo and I are co-headlining a show at New York Comedy Club, the East 24th Street location. It's called 30 is the New 60. Link for tickets is also in my Linktree bio and on my website. And then later that evening at 10 p.m. on Thursday, November 10th, Corinne and I are doing a live recording of Guys We Fucked with special guests, and one of them is going to be Mikey Big Dick Dong Coscarelli.
Hey.
He's going to be there. This is our first live performance of the podcast with you.
Yeah, I know.
So that's going to be very exciting.
Yeah.
And we'll do the love bucket for sure.
Gotta do the love bucket.
It'll be so fun, and it's a nice intimate space at the Midnight Theater. So make sure you get tickets to that, because as soon as we start promoting it, it will sell out.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
I guess we're starting.
And we
now.
started it now. So
starting now. We're
get
starting
your fucking tickets
6 days in advance.
Yeah, yeah.
Is when we're really starting to push it.
We love to cut things close.
Yeah, just make sure you go. All right. And if you want to email us, it's sorryaboutlasttnightshow@gmail.com. This subject line is my new boyfriend has depression.
Ooh.
I mean, that's, I'm sure that's what you attracted you to him in the first place. And that's on you, girlfriend. Hey, Corinne and Krystyna, I'm writing to you because of some odd events that took place this morning. I've been seeing this guy for about 3 weeks now. How is he already your boyfriend?
Oh, come on.
Oh, come on. This is insane. He has been basically perfect so far.
It's 3 weeks. Everyone's perfect. Are you kidding me, bitch?
For the first 3 weeks of the Holocaust, everyone was like, this Hitler guy's not so bad. I think he has some good ideas. And I was getting super excited. He slept over last night, and when we woke up, we started fucking around. He went down on me, and I finished hot, and then mid over the shorts dick grab, I noticed a lot of new cutting and scars on his thighs. Run. I have seen him naked plenty of times, but I hadn't noticed the cutting or understood that it was until now. He has made some vague I'm depressed type comments a couple times, but I guess I just assumed it was a joke, under control, not a big deal. Okay. People always tell you who they are. The mood was completely killed by me, and I almost immediately started crying. Oh, that's sweet. You have empathy. Unfortunately, a couple of years ago, I lost a very close friend of mine to her battles with depression. She was the closest thing I had to a sister. Well, I mean, this explains the gravitational pull. And when she died, it absolutely destroyed me. I had no idea she was suffering. He knows about this, and he was hugging me and apologizing, and it honestly just made me cry more. I had to leave, so this didn't last super long. I texted him later apologizing for killing the mood and reacting how I did. He responded telling me that he understands and he was sorry I had to find out this way, and that I had no reason to apologize. Okay. At this point, I don't know what to do. He is literally wonderful, but we have incompatible trauma/baggage. I want him to be able to open up to me, but I feel like it is just going to bring up painful memories and emotions for me every time. I don't think I am ever going to be able to look at his cuts and scars without losing it.
You will.
I am normally very in control of my emotions. This is just the one thing I cannot handle. Is this a deal breaker? Please help me. As much as I like him, my gut is telling me to run because I don't want to go through pain like that again. Love you both, and all you do, a fucker.
Look, we are going to get triggered and traumatized until the day we die, pretty much. And I actually think being triggered is a beneficial experience, because the more you can be with yourself and let yourself grieve and let yourself have that reaction, give yourself space, over time, the less it will affect you. So I just want to throw that out
Well,
there.
I would agree with you if these were old scars, but these are new things he's actively cutting.
Yeah.
And
I know people who cut and they don't want to kill themselves. They just want to feel something. And so I don't know.
I just think starting a new relationship with someone who's actively that deep into self-harm is like, I don't think he should be in a relationship.
Not in good, like as Dan Savage says on his podcast, not in good working order right now to be a partner, to be somebody's partner, or to receive partnership from somebody, which is okay, but it's an opportunity to, there's sometimes issues pop up in relationships as they're blossoming, as they're beginning to become a thing, and you're going towards that. Are we exclusive, or however, deal setup you want to have in your relationship, where you kind of take stock and go, is this person in good working order, right? And some issues I think you can help each other with, but other issues I think it's important that the person handles this solo. And it seems like this might be one of those issues for him to just really get a hold on. I don't know. I can never tell with this. With depression, I always feel, and I think I'm too close to the subject too. So I don't know if this is something that you would want to help somebody with. It's such a new relationship.
You're 3 weeks.
Three weeks in.
You're 3 weeks in. I mean, number one, this is like obviously a super. You have such a personal relationship with this because you lost someone, and to me, this is just like walking fucking straight into the ocean the way women always do. It's like, he's so wonderful, but I'm gonna put up with this very fucking huge thing, and this is not to like dispose of people who suffer from depression or self-harm, or saying that they are not worthy of love and affection and the best absolute relationship. Yes to all those things. But to me, especially because you are the fucking heterosexual woman in this relationship, the reaction that you had to this right out of the gates was like so overly, not overly emotional. It was just so emotional because you are, obviously so affected by this because your friend who you were so close to took their own life only a couple of years ago. And also, I just think like if you know you're gonna get naked and you know that you have these scars on your body, it's a little bit irritating to me that he didn't say anything about that, especially because you have already shared how much this loss of your friend hurt you, and not that people have to pave the way to make every step of your life smooth when you're in a relationship together.
That's a heads up you could have gotten.
But to me, it's like a little fishy. This is just so much to walk into. And I mean, the fact that you're writing us this letter again 3 weeks in, it's a huge thing. 3 weeks in, and I think it's something that maybe you guys could rekindle later on. But I think if you keep going now, it's gonna implode. Whereas if you tell him, listen, I think you're fantastic. I don't want you to think that I am leaving you in a time when you're obviously going through something very heavy. Maybe even offer to be a friend throughout this process, but just like, I cannot have you, like, I cannot be working towards a relationship with you when you have so much work to do on the relationship that you have with yourself. And I think that's like a really nice way to be direct. And also, I mean, God, it's kind of fucked up but with stuff like this, I think especially men, like, not that you give people an ultimatum with depression, but I think like you have to be like, you have to fix this about yourself if you want the reward of a relationship.
Yeah, he has to be proactive about his own self-care. And it took me a long time to realize that just because you have depression doesn't mean you're a bad parent. You can be a good parent with depression. There's examples of it all over. You can be a good partner with depression, but part of that is being able to manage your mental health symptoms and take care of yourself first and foremost, so that you can function in the world.
Yeah, so this is heavy, I'm sorry. And I think just like have a really just open conversation with him about it. Because I don't want him to feel abandoned, but ultimately, and again, especially in heterosexual relationships, it's so often women putting the emotional needs of the partner ahead of the emotional needs for themselves. And like, you just don't need to go through this right now.
You gotta take care of yourself, girl. Sorry that happened, but best of luck with that situation. Thanks for writing us. And if you haven't rated and reviewed Guys We Fucked on Apple iTunes podcast charts, please follow us, click the plus sign, give us a rating and a review, because that keeps us in the top 200 and it allows more people to discover Guys We Fucked. And maybe we'll do 500 more episodes. We're not, but maybe we'll do more episodes.
We'll be 50. We'll be approaching 50.
Wow.
Can you imagine?
No.
I mean, that honestly could be a very interesting show.
Yeah.
It's a show for two women who don't know it yet.
Yeah. Right. But I'm like, oh, what? There's so much that has happened in my, oh my God.
Gentlemen,
so much.
we screwed.
Yeah.
That's the 15-year-old.
We courted.
Yes.
I'm just like, what the fuck's going to happen the next 10 years? Oof, I got to not think about it.
It is scary to think about.
It's just wild
There's another
how
10 years.
unpredictable my life has unfolded. I just never would have thought. I'm shocked by it, to be honest. I just can't. Just so many things that I didn't think were going to happen has happened. If you're not following us on social media, what the fuck's your problem? We're at Guys We Fucked without the U and fucked on all platforms. That includes motherfucking TikTok and YouTube, okay? And we're putting a lot of work into the TikTok and YouTube, and Corinne's getting a lot of knowledge on this fucking algorithm shit. We had a good presence. So support us, and it's a free way to support the show, and we appreciate you.
And also right now there's now officially 3 YouTube exclusive episodes that we live stream that live only on YouTube, that you have to go to YouTube to watch those. So make sure to check those out. We've been doing one per month for the last 3 months.
Yeah, the last Wednesday of every month, and you can call in to the show. We have a fucking phone number, and you can text us and you can call us, and it's really fucking fun.
Even my guy friends watch it. How supportive of them.
Oh, that's so nice.
They like call-in shows. Yeah.
That's so nice.
Yep. That's how you know it's good.
How are you?
I'm fine. I was well, there's a lot happening in the universe. Most importantly, obviously, is that Gisele Bündchen and Tom Brady they're finalized, or they're getting divorced. It's really happening. We kind of knew this was happening. And it's been interesting because my mom, avid listener of Guys We Fucked, actually sent me an article, and she was like, Gisele got sick of dimming her light, and she was like, read the last paragraph of this article, and it's Gisele's kind of reasoning on why she was fucking done with it. And here, let me go to the part that's really, really, really okay. So she had she was interviewed, and she said, after years of supporting Brady and tending to her family, now it's going to be my turn. That was her quote. I've done my part, which is to be there for him. I moved to Boston, and I focused on creating a cocoon and a loving environment for my children to grow up in, and to be there supporting him and his dreams. And so she did all that, and then basically, like, she's fucking done. It's time for her to live her life.
Nice.
And my mom was kind of commenting on like how sad that is, that someone like as famous and accomplished can still get stuck in the same rut that we see so many women get stuck in. And I'm happy that she's talking about it publicly, and I hope that she continues to speak on that publicly, especially with someone who has like kind of a career where you have to move a lot, like an athlete. You just basically, like, whatever team takes you, you're moving to that fucking city. And a lot of those cities suck.
Like movement.
A lot of those cities suck.
For models, though?
Like, what?
For models?
No, Tom Brady.
Well, Brady, yeah.
She has to move to wherever he gets drafted.
Yeah.
Yeah, well...
She's not moving around for modeling anymore. She means her prime modeling career was over, obviously.
Yeah, but he was in New England the whole time. I mean, Boston's not New York, obviously, or LA or whatever, but...
yeah, I mean, exactly. To be a famous person and have to live in Boston, kill me.
Yeah, but she didn't move. They didn't move
Shout out to
Tampa.
Boston.
She didn't... When he went to Tampa Bay, she didn't follow him.
Right, but I mean, most people are following them.
But for her kids to see their dad, they have to at least visit.
It's not like the lifestyle is depending on where he's at more than when she's at.
Yeah, he is in the wrong, and I think even sports fans are just like, why did you do this, man?
Wait, he's in the wrong how?
Well, so
everyone knows he fucked up in marriage. It's his fault.
Well, Tom
just
Brady
by being in football, or
so football specifically as a sport is this like highly demanding
physically
commitment.
Yeah.
Well, not even physically. It's just like
your time.
It's a 17-week season. You spend every waking minute, especially when you're a quarterback. You have to do so much studying
with it. Yeah.
Yes. So the problem is, and there were these reports. He has this obsession, Tom Brady, of being the greatest.
Good.
Right, and he is undoubtedly the greatest quarterback of all time. Sports fans, football fans, all admit it. It's already in the books. He's already the best. Everybody's
at the cost of his marriage and family.
So here's the thing: there were all these reports about him when they were still obviously married, where he would go on vacations with the family. family, and he would have to throw for like an hour a day on vacation. Like he couldn't take a break. And he announced his retirement this year in the off season.
Good timing.
Yeah, no.
And then he went back because he couldn't handle not being in the spotlight.
So there's a few things going on. There's a chance he was involved in a scandal, an ownership scandal with the Miami Dolphins, where I think that he may have had to actually come out of retirement to like fulfill a contract that he had signed with Tampa Bay. And I don't know the full details on that. But that's in play. But when he came out of retirement, there were all these sort of rumors that him and Gisele were going to get divorced because Gisele had reportedly sort of given him the ultimatum. Like, you're either done and you actually finally start committing to this relationship.
Be here. Yeah.
Right. This is after 13 years of marriage. This is not like it was like 3 years and she got tired of, you know, the pigskin.
She was a good soldier for as long as she needed to be. And she was also
what a painful description of a wife. Of a wife. And it's interesting.
No, it's a description of somebody that's sacrificed. Yeah. That's what I mean.
Absolutely.
Like somebody who's just like, I'm going to put my thing on hold. You do your thing for a while and then it will be my turn. And she just wants to finally do her thing.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Well, it was interesting because there was actually one of the reviews that we recently got was from an angry wife and who
on GUYS We FCKED?
Yeah, who I guess who got mad, has maybe stopped listening to, I can't remember the exact storyline, but maybe like stopped listening to the show because of in her opinion, the way we speak about, wives or, mothers is disparaging. And I'm like, that's, no, it's because obviously like she deep kind of in her heart feels that same way about it and is projecting it on us. And I was like, that's absolutely not how we feel about it. I'm actually super careful on this show to speak about motherhood and wifehood, even though there's things that I'm not particularly interested in, with respect, because I think what feminism is respecting other women's choices to live the life they want. What I can never respect is someone who pushes their dreams aside to highlight a man's dreams, because I don't think anyone's dream is to not have a dream. Okay, yeah. That's my argument. Is that I don't think anyone growing up is like, when I grow up, I want to help a guy that I've never met achieve his dreams. That's what I would like to do. I don't think anyone fucking does that.
Ain't no Disney movies about that.
And so even if we're going back to very traditional roles, and your dream and truly what you want to do is to be an incredible mother and wife and like create a home space, that is an admirable goal if that's what you fucking want to do. But I just don't think in 2022 that's very many people's, especially not people listening to this show, I don't think that's very many people's dreams. And if it is, more power to you. And that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about to continually like question if you're happy with your with where you are in your life, and to make sure that your whole existence is not catering to the heterosexual man that you feel chose you, because he didn't. It could have been fucking anyone, and we know that. And if you don't, that's not even like up for argument at this point. Could have been fucking anyone.
It's a cosmic joke.
The thing that I find particularly interesting personally about the Brady situation in general specifically, because in the NFL it seems like most of the people that end up in the league are more kind of conservative. So there do happen to be more situations where it is kind of like a traditional breadwinner with a man and wife situation where the wife kind of stays home and plays with the kids and does all this stuff that a
homemaker does. Yeah.
Right.
Raising a family.
Also, if you guys are old enough, talk to your friends who if you have a friend who stays at home and hangs out with the kids all day, and then come back to me and tell me about their mental health and how it's changed over the years. I would bet you $1 million fucking it's not okay.
But okay, so here's part of the issue with this is that not all, but there if you are at a certain level, if you're a starting player in the NFL or even like a high, well-paid backup, you make a lot of money. So in that case, in my mind, it's sort of the dynamics of it work because money is not an option. Mm-hmm. So or an issue rather. So it's sort of like it makes it a little more, there's more of a cushion for someone to just be at home and like let the person who's making more money in this situation kind of like do their thing for maybe 10 years if you're really lucky.
Yeah.
In Tom Brady's case, he's been in the NFL for 20 something years at this point. He's 45 years old. Everybody says that he's the best. And he just has the other factor is that Gisele actually out-earns him. So
Are you serious?
Yes, Gisele out-earns Tom Brady.
Yes, bitch.
So
yes.
everybody, even, like in the sports world, everybody as
How
this
is
was
she
happening.
still out earning him?
How?
I think she has money
like
in all
residuals of something or
and also
stocks.
makeup lines. I would assume
maybe
and
she's
like
smarter
beauty
with women.
products.
I didn't realize she had a makeup line. Interesting.
I don't know if she has a specific makeup line, but I think she has her money and her brand involved in all, like
Jesus, the
other
amount
things
of
that
money,
make money.
that famous athletes get paid is just so astronomical. That's
Right.
incredible to learn. I did not know that.
So it doesn't usually play out like this, where he isn't even the breadwinner in the situation,
Jesus.
and he can't give
She's
it up.
trying to get away from her.
Yeah, and everybody is
In a
just
way.
like, why can't you stop?
Yeah.
Like you're 45. Your kids are almost like, I think they're late teens.
Oh,
I think
okay.
they're almost 18.
Wow.
And he can't stop. It's like this obsession that he can't get over, and it's even wilder because Gisele is in a lot of ways financially more successful than he is.
Wow.
And that never happens in these situations.
He just got obsessed with something, or maybe
Yeah.
he loves the adoration. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, fame is pretty intoxicating, and to be an athlete and to perform well is exciting. To be good at what you're doing and to be one of the best has got to be so addicting.
Totally.
Like, why would you throw that away in a sense? But to him, it's like he doesn't think at the cost of my family until it happens.
Oh, and
until it's done, yeah.
It's from, she has a bunch of multi-million-dollar contracts with Pantene, Chanel, Victoria's Secret, Carolina Herrera, and partnerships with companies like Arezzo Shoes and Sky TV in her native Brazil.
They're so
She's also a New York
rich.
Times best-selling author with her book Lessons: My Path to a Meaningful Life. Hilarious title.
Yeah,
The most basic bitch title I've ever heard.
Lessons.
Truly hilarious.
Well, she's living by her truth now.
Wow. Okay.
Isn't that crazy though? She makes more money than he does.
Wow.
I love that.
I never would have guessed that in a million years. That's awesome.
Yeah, and then, but also like everyone needs a purpose outside of the home, and I mean, I think that's
Yes.
why they even throw the president's wife a little job. They
Right.
even,
Yeah,
that's, I think there is
the schools.
Yeah, like they always like I think there's like a true reason why they decided like we should give the president's wife a little job.
Give her a little task.
Number one, they probably didn't want bitches meddling. It's
They wanted
number
her
one.
away from all
That's number one. They didn't want bitches meddling, and you know they learned that the hard way.
They sure did.
They learned that the hard way. So they're like,
Eleanor, get out of my office. What are you
Get
doing?
Kennedy's wife
Why
outta
nothing
here.
else to do?
They were like-
what do you expect?
they're like, this Easter egg
Fuck else
roll
am I gonna
isn't
do?
taking enough
Crafts?
time.
Oh, we get to pardon a turkey? Goody.
Oh my god! And then everyone needs a sense of purpose. You can't just be walking around the White House. I mean, that's just like asking for secrets to be spread.
Right.
Fucking members
if I
of
was
the
the president's
security.
wife, I would just be hiding under the curtains, just find out if aliens is real, even though they are. But I just want to like hear it, you know.
I feel like you could have
You would not have access to those rooms.
If I was dusting while they were meeting,
They
But the
give you the
president
B
has-
level key.
The president has access, and then
and I'll get it from his pocket.
Well, yeah, that's
and then you
different.
could be like, "Hey, can you like check on something?"
Right. That's 100% what I do. I gotta meet a future president. Yay.
So yeah, that's one of it. And then I also in my spare time I've been making a list of occupations it seems that you can have if you want to be married to a successful man. So as a woman, these are occupations that are like cool but not threatening enough.
Right.
So one is anything with food, obviously not eating, but anything with food like home baker, cookbook author. These are things that are great. Stylist, makeup artist, hairstylist, any of those are fine. A jewelry maker, but not an actual jeweler, because that's for
Two
men.
totally different
Yeah.
things.
Some kind of like vintage clothing curator that always works. Like if you have your own collection. So it's like you have a store, but you're not designing anything. A very small business owner.
Like candles.
How small?
Candles.
Like
with
Etsy store?
with the wooden wick.
You can have a brick and mortar, but you should be able to kind of clearly see all four walls from one position in the establishment.
boutique.
Yeah, it's like it's a boutique. You're there yourself. You got to steam the clothes.
Right.
Anything about being a mom, as long as you do it from your house where you're actually being a mom. Like, so you can like write a blog about it or like a screenplay about being a mom.
right.
But then you also have to be being a mom.
Day in
Right.
the life.
So that's
Hilaria.
that's kind of a twofer.
Ilaria, you mean?
Yeah.
Anything
My
with
bad.
flowers. anything with flowers, whether they're dead, alive, you're arranging them, you're putting them into like you're pouring them into the mold. Yes, anything like that.
Make a bookmark.
Real, fake.
Make a bookmark.
And then anything to do with tie-dyeing t-shirts and dresses. And that's the list that I have right now. Anything else, you're
fucked.
You're
Chase your husband away.
wild with power.
Yeah. Get a hold of yourself, lady. Mm-hmm. The fuck's your problem?
And if anyone
selfish bitch.
has anything else to
selfish bitch.
add to that, please let me know, because I'm gonna have a master list in my phone. So
babysitting. Run a daycare out of your house.
all right. I was like babysitting. I was like, what is that, a teen bride?
No, like a lot of moms have like
Right.
will run daycares out of the house. It's like, well, I gotta watch these 2 kids. Might as well watch like 10 other kids.
Absolutely, that's totally allowed. You're in the house. Everyone knows where you are.
Yeah.
You're doing mom
Safe.
stuff.
Do we not
Safe.
consider like the blanket PR job, marketing job? That's
You're getting a little big for your britches
Too much?
there.
You think?
territory,
Who are you around? Are you wearing a short skirt? Are you drinking around other men? What are you doing?
Can't do that.
yeah, maybe. I mean,
Other than nope.
it seems like it's the standard job of women in like Kips Bay.
Maybe
Murray
some
Hill.
kind of like
They all majored in communications,
Right.
yes, but
I would say like a wedding planner, but kind of wedding planners are notoriously single. That's like the irony of being a wedding planner.
Yeah, that's
funny.
So I don't know.
is he planning other people's weddings?
Yeah, again, it's just a master list that I refer to anytime I start dreaming, and I say just rein it back a little bit.
Well, in honor of our 500th episode, I wanted to ask you. I was thinking of mine. Like, what are the top? I was thinking, like, what are my top sexual encounters of my sexual career thus far that I've had? That I'm like,
Oh God, all the best ones I've
Good.
never even talked about on this show.
nice. Well, I have, and I gotta say, I was thinking back on them. Fucking. Well, this was before the show, but I had a 3-way with 2 male models, and it just happened au naturel, and they were fucking hot, and I'm like, good for me, Krystyna. I enjoyed it, but I was a little scared, because I was so young. But that was really fun, and then flying a porn star in from California to fuck me and this hot guy that I was currently fucking. Good for me. I mean, Jesus Christ, we really practice what we preach here on Guys We Fucked. Like get out there, be bold about pursuing your own sexual pleasure. And then the third one was just this sex club, taking a girl to a sex club with my partner at the time, and then bringing her home, and then all doing a 3-way. And I'm like, damn, I gotta say, there's been ups and downs in my life, but I've always made sure that I've had some good sex. And I had sex this morning. I'm like, sex is the best. I could have sex all day. I won't, but like, because I got other stuff to do, but I just love sex. I just really do.
Perfect show for you.
Yeah.
Right.
I know. I genuinely, I'm like, guys, sex can be so great. It can be so fun.
It's a big topic in the world.
Yeah.
Lots of things ruined over sex. A lot of people risk
So
a lot
much.
of things.
Wars.
A lot of careers, a lot of money. for
Institutions
sex.
get taken down.
Yeah, full governments.
Yeah.
Most of my sex is more like the what makes it good is like that it was like someone I really shouldn't be having sex with. Not like morally or ethically wrong, just like a person, like their place in the world and my place in the world don't match, like a Romeo and Juliet kind of thing. That's the best. Or like someone that like I was like kind of like pining over for a long time privately.
The energy around
It's
that
like
is always
revealed
fun.
that they feel the same way about me that I feel about them. So that was one that was really, really good. Where they just like grab you and it's like, I've been in love with you for years. And I
wanted to do
go,
this for 5 years.
amazing. That's so great.
Yay, we're both here.
And so those are that's like the kind of it's more like the who than like the how or the what for me.
got it.
That's like the enticing part of it.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
How about you, Mikey? You want to share one of yours?
Yeah, well, I think probably the hottest experience I ever had was with a woman that was older than I was.
Oh, you were telling me this on my birthday.
Yeah,
How much
yeah,
older?
yeah. I believe she was about 10 years. I think I was 25
Hell
and she was
yeah.
35.
Yes.
And she picked me up
She was
after...
an elderly. Nice.
Yeah, I mean, she's still, I mean, we don't keep in touch, but I follow her.
don't?
on
She has a
Instagram.
husband?
She has a husband now, but yeah,
Damn.
she's still gorgeous. She's in her 40s and she's like, but she was super hot. She picked me up after a show at the Village Lantern when I was still doing stand-up.
Nice.
And it was just this very
You need
sort
a ride,
of...
kid?
Yeah, it kind of was like that. She had just gotten over
Robinson?
a breakup, but the
She was down
situation
on her luck.
of it...
Mike told me the story.
Yeah, she was down on her luck. She picked me. She was like, that looks like the perfect rebound for me. One night, perfect.
You're a good rebound.
Yeah. Yeah. And she lived in the West Village. We just walked back to her apartment and she was kind of like peacocking with me because I was 25 and very hot.
Yeah.
You know? And I remember I told Corinne that when we had dinner, she walked past a bunch of gay guys that were sitting in like on the stoop of her apartment. And they were all just like, ooh, you got a good one, girl. Like,
yeah.
The whole and then the sex was great.
Nice.
After the fact. Because
took her to Pound Town.
Yeah, but were
you the main activator in the sex that you had, or was she like, you fuck or get fucked?
Yeah,
in a way.
It's funny. I remember having sex twice that night with her, and I think the first time I was the one activating it more.
Ooh, you switched it. I love that.
But the second time, yeah, I feel like
Let's see about this dynamic.
Right. I think it was initiated more by her and more aggressively by her the second time.
Wow.
And I wanted to do this again, but it never happened.
Now, here's a question every employer can't ask their employee. True. Was she surprised at how big your cock is?
Wait, you didn't think she was going to ask that?
No, I didn't think she was going to ask that. I think
because it feels like it's big enough where like there would be some kind of like auditory or visual response as someone who's seen a photo of it. And whose boyfriend at the time did not like her response.
Oh, jealous. Jelly roll.
Really did not like it. Like Jelly. It was we had to talk about it that
Maybe
night.
if you had a bigger dick, you wouldn't have the reaction.
I would say
he had a completely like good dick.
Right.
Which is so it's weird. It was weird. I was like, this is just like a
It's like belongs in a museum.
Right. Well, we can't all be Italian.
Some Ron Jeremy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you got the full head of hair.
So I don't know if I can't really remember the specifics.
It just, everyone. It's just, so many jaws have dropped to the floor that he can't keep track.
Well, I just remember when my first girlfriend.
I always love when I take my shirt off and they see my boobs for the first time.
And they're just like,
oh shit! I'm like, yeah, goddamn right, baby.
I remember my first girlfriend in college. Do you remember when that show Hung was on TV?
Oh yes, I do.
So we were in the city once. I was 20, and we were just my girlfriend like from New Jersey when I was in college, and we were in the city once hanging out, and a bus went by with Hung on the side of it, and she goes, "Oh look, it's your show."
Nice. Sweet. Mike loves that. He masturbates to that moment.
I knew at 20, I guess, that it was like,
a schlong.
So it's hard to like remember exactly like who did what, but I remember with this woman specifically, there was this kind of
You've
weird...
remained so humble, Mike.
Yeah.
Well, what can I say?
Before he answered your specific question, he had to go through the whole Rolodex.
That's a long sexual history.
Yeah.
I do remember this very kind of weird conversation with her that, and I found it weird because I wanted to hang out, like see her again. But
this is the older woman we're back to?
The older woman, yeah.
The older woman who's 2 years younger than me.
Yeah. I was 25, 10 years. There was this conversation at some point in the night where she's like, you know, when you are 30, like when you're in your 30s, you're going to be like such a catch, and like some woman is gonna.
That was a nice way of saying.
Wow,
you're
that's
not there
rude.
yet.
Actually,
it kind of.
You're not a catch yet, honey.
But it was kind of like.
But I used to say stuff like that about Dylan on this show. Like I said many times when we were talking about him, like you are going to be an incredible boyfriend one day.
Well, this was the thing.
But it's just like you can't. You're not going. You don't have the emotional intelligence to be a partner. To a person in a woman, especially in their 30s at that age.
Well, I found that particular one interesting because it was post-coital. We weren't on a date. We weren't at dinner. We weren't like, we were literally,
you just got fucked.
We were laying in her bed, like not wearing any clothes. And she was like, as I think satisfied.
You're going to be a good man for someone one day, sweetheart.
It kind of felt like that.
Well,
yeah.
I think at that age, you kind of feel like a casting director, like you're seeing a star, like you're
right. You know what the future holds.
Right. You're seeing Helen Mirren before she's Helen Mirren.
Right.
And it's incredible.
Star in a black box theater production.
Because it's not all together. It's not all together yet. It needs a couple more acting courses. They need a stylist, but like there's something there.
There's a presence.
Yeah,
big old cock.
Yeah,
Helen Mirren's a big old dong.
And also probably certain like things like the way you carry yourself, or maybe like what you said, or like you showed, care in ways that everyone doesn't in the bedroom. I think there's a lot of information that you can take from a sexual encounter besides
100%.
like, did I come or not?
Well, that interaction I remember being particularly fun And I don't know at that time in my life that was something that I even really thought about with sex yet, but there was just something about the fact that she was a little bit older, and to me, she was just like unbelievably gorgeous. And
you can go without the to me.
No,
well, I just always say that because I feel, I thought she was. It's like a very.
She was hot, and you thought so.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, there we go.
She was hot, and I thought so. And I don't know. There was just something that felt very satisfying.
You are beautiful. Oh God! If a guy said that to me, I'd kill myself. Just kidding, Chad.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like it's just kind of, there was something about satisfying a woman that was a little bit older. There was like an approval aspect,
accomplishment.
Of it. Yeah, and it was she was just down to do whatever, and she wasn't timid about it. Once we got past the point of the approach, because she was the one that approached me, her friend approached me, and we had a drink. Once we got past that, she wasn't timid.
Yeah,
and I think maybe at 25, you're so used to being the one that's kind of initiating and pursuing,
right?
And once we got past the initial hurdle of like, is this going to happen tonight? Like, I don't know, it was just very hot. Yeah, like she was just like down to do kind of like whatever, and it was just fun.
Good for you.
Down to be a dirty girl.
Yeah. Good for you. Good for you. Wow. Well, thanks, guys. Then thanks to all the fuckers out there. There's a lot of people that write us that are OG fuckers since day one. We appreciate you. I think it's really, I do believe, and I'm gathering this from feedback, but also the success of the podcast. We've pioneered a little category for ourselves, and hopefully for better conversations to be had around this topic that are not had often enough. That's a really great contribution to the world that I will always be proud of and happy about. And it's, it takes two to tango, or three, because we really appreciate you guys opening up and sharing your stories with us. They have illuminated my eyes about the human experience and what it means to be a sexual person on this planet, or asexual person on this planet. The thing about sexuality is every single human being has some type of relationship to their own sexuality, whether it's they're asexual, or whether they're way too horny and they're trying to fill a hole that should be there by love, or whatever it is. And I think it's really fascinating to hear your story. So thank you for giving us a window into the world of your sexuality. Appreciate that.
And I think furthermore, the fuckers are extremely loyal in your fanship, and we see it not only in the way that you guys support us, but in the way that you support the guests that we have on, other shows that we're on. Like, I definitely know from like working with other people, our fans are way more supportive and generous than other people's fans.
And cool.
And they're cool. And good people for the most part. It's really,
that didn't slip past us.
You can't pick your fans, and it is a true honor that whenever I meet you guys at like the comedy clubs, I'm always so delighted. There's been a couple times where I'm like, ugh, but for the most part, the last 10 years, I've been almost taken aback by how wonderful and lovely you guys are. So,
and also across the board, comedy clubs, like they do tell us, like, we get feedback on our fans. So once we got past that first year of you guys, vomiting in the aisles, honestly, from there, it's really been
had some notes, and you took them well.
It's really been smooth sailing, and we do get constant, wonderful feedback on how polite you guys are. You're good, you're good tippers, because we check on you.
Oh yeah,
we ask the staff to make sure that you guys are treating them well and behaving yourselves.
And you are. And thank you. Thank you for being who you are.
It's nice. I mean, it's nice just that, you just want the way you want to like act in the world, just because you want to act that way in the world. And that also makes us look good. So
yeah. And I wanted to throw this out there before we introduce our guest. We called for this on the Guys We Fucked Live, but I want to do it on the actual podcast, and maybe like stitch together, I don't know, some sort of ad for the podcast, because we're always looking for ways to spread the word about Guys We Fucked, to get the word out there to as many people as possible, because we very much believe in the product. We want to hear from you guys, the OG fuckers. Sorry about last night's show at gmail.com. Can you send us a short, like 30-second clip, a voice memo, not a video, a voice memo around 30 seconds of like, what has listening to Guys We Fucked done for you? Give us the full spectrum. Like, it made you, gave you the courage to leave an abusive relationship, or gave you the courage to not talk to a parent who was emotionally abusing you, or
something new up your butt.
Exactly. Yep. Oh, you came in your asshole for the first first time and then you've never gone back. Like, that's so exciting. Or like you had a 3-way and it was great, or you tried something that you weren't going to try and then you heard it on the podcast and then it went well.
You're going to help a man pursue his dreams, but then you said, why don't I just do something crazy and pursue my own?
I make more money than him.
So sick. So yeah, if you send us, honestly, like a 15 seconds would probably be ideal. Just short and sweet, write it down and then record it. But email us the clips, sorryaboutlastnightshow@gmail.com, and then make the subject line 500 episodes and we'll know exactly what that means. And we want to stitch together something like a reel for Instagram that we can promote to get the word out about the podcast more. We appreciate you. Thanks for being here, guys. And our guests. Holy shit. I'm such a fan of this woman. And the interview that we had with her did not disappoint. What a fantastic person. She's an artist. She's a writer. She's a proclaimed and celebrated historian of bad behavior and the co-host of the podcast, The C Word, with Lena Dunham, which is also on Luminary, which is also one of Corinne and I's favorite fucking podcasts. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Alissa Bennett. We are here with historian of bad behavior, Alissa Bennett of The C Word, one of our favorite podcasts. We're super excited to have you on the show. And
only podcast I've ever listened to, for being
I
honest.
love you guys.
Besides my own.
I binged the shit out of it. You guys are so fucking funny. You and Lena have been friends for a while, right?
We've been, we met when I was like a very elderly college student and she was like a really young college student and people were so fucking mean to her and it kind of I'm like an underdog person.
Jesus Christ.
We were at the new school together.
Okay.
And I always, as someone who kind of self-identifies as an outsider, I feel like very misanthropic much of the time when I see it. And I was like a very glamorous freshman in college because I'd just been a fashion model. I was an adult.
Oh, shit.
So it was like, I had this other thing that I was bringing. And I just watched people, like every time she would say something, people would be like, will you shut up? Will you?
In
like she
college?
was so aggravating to people. There's some quality.
Yes, I know it because I have it.
But people tell her to her face, and I'm like, wow, the balls.
But it's always the most extraordinary people, and yes, I am using that to describe myself, who have that quality.
I agree.
I've always loved Lena, and I've always seen people treat her like that. And so listening to your podcast is so interesting because you're like, oh, she's actually even like more incredible than I thought she was initially. And we finally got to meet her in person recently.
Oh my
and
God, sweetheart.
Warm, commands a room quietly, like all the qualities that you want when you meet a person who you admire.
Right.
And very rarely do people live up to those expectations. Mm-hmm. And so seeing it younger, what is it about her that makes people react that way?
Well, there's some, and it's something that we talk about a lot on the show,
right.
Not about her, but in general about these young women, young girls, we'll call them girls, like an 11-year-old who's like, I want to be a star, like she was one of those kids who, she had this like kind of extraordinary upbringing because her parents are both artists and, sort of this bohemian approach to how you raise a kid and how a kid's supposed to learn and what the expectations are. So, when she was 12, she was doing open mics and comedy clubs.
Mm-hmm. Oh, shit.
Yeah. There's tape. I'm sure she'd share the tape with you.
Wow. Wait, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And those born and raised in New York kids are special.
It's a different
They're very
animal.
unique.
They're tiny adults.
So I think that, there is this quality that young people who want to be actors have that I think is grating. People find it grating.
Yep.
And I think that it's sort of, and it goes back to this performance of the persona. I think that part of that get on stage and make them laugh thing it clings to her in a way, and it's not who she is, but it's what is sort of conjured when she's in a group of people.
Yeah, she's very funny,
but she's also very fucking funny. And I think it's like it's just I always think that people who are sort of underdogs or misanthropes are often the funniest because they know what it means to be sort of castigated or an outsider.
Yeah. Now that I think about it, and that criticism has carried into her career.
Oh,
like
it's in
she
her
can't
work.
fucking do anything. Like her book with her sibling thing, and it's like, you guys, what the fuck?
Can you believe that?
That's that's crazy.
If anyone believes that, Go to church. Go to God.
She's also someone who seems to have like a really like a sense of self for early on, and I think you really see that in how she wrote the character of Hannah Horvath for herself.
Yes.
Because I love watching that show because all the other characters on the show are usually worried about how someone else in their life is affecting them, and Hannah Horvath is always worried about her in her own world, and I really love that because there's something very therapeutic about watching a young woman exist for herself, even though it might seem self-indulgent, better than obsessing over a guy the whole time.
And I think maybe the power of how much that performance stuck to her is evidence of what a great artist she is. Because she wrote this character and people thought it was her.
Right. You would assume, and it's also just like especially when you're that young, you tend to just write what you know. And like, my life is so interesting. I want to do a show about me.
What did you guys want to do when you were 20 years old?
I wanted to be a famous actress. I wanted to be a famous actress since I was 5. I was one of those, I'm going to be a star. I would see a movie and I would act it out in my home, like to myself.
Should we take a class at the Actors Studio?
I would love that.
That's my dream.
I would
be
love
great.
that.
Too.
I majored in acting, but I need to start taking classes again because
Let's take a class.
I'll do it.
I love classes.
I would
in
love
the
that.
spare time that none of us have.
There's always time for a class.
There's time for a class.
When I was 20, I just wanted to be famous. However,
You guys did it.
just famous was it was just like, it doesn't really, I'll figure out a way. I mean, I was like, at that time I was in school to be a film director, which I still want to do, but
You guys are young. You can still do it all.
What did you want to be when you were 20?
Like nothing.
No.
really?
I became a writer because all I wanted to do was, sort of read books about bad behavior or research bad behavior or, learn about, I'm naturally a very curious person. So one of my favorite stories that I think really sums up how I ended up where I am is that when I was maybe, 9 or 10, I had these neighbors. We lived in this, it wasn't a suburb because it was in the woods, but this sort of small neighborhood in the woods. And it was 2 daughters, one of whom was my age and one was slightly older. And they moved into this house. And when they would go away, they needed someone to watch their pets. And so they'd ask different neighborhood kids to do it. And whenever they would ask me, they'd be like, the pets were in the garage or whatever. And they'd be like, there's a key in the grill to get in the house if you have an emergency. Don't go in there. And I'd be like, of course I'm not going into your house. And then as soon as they leave, I'd go in their house.
Look through everything.
Read the diaries, try the makeup on, ransack the parents' dresser drawers, everything. Look in the medicine cabinets. Like just this curiosity.
Was theater of life too.
It was theater of life, and it was so exciting to understand a person via the things that they don't want you to see.
Absolutely. Totally.
So exciting. And so that was like a sort of thing for me, this inappropriate curiosity about people that I either know or don't know.
Yeah.
And, I did a different kind of writing for a long time where, because I'm sort of art world adjacent, I would write catalog essays for artists and this sort of thing. And my son's father, at a certain point, I got really, I would have this sort of rotating obsession. Like I would get really into Savannah, the dead porn star. Or I'd get really into Lane Staley, who was the lead singer of Alice in Chains. And it was like a band I didn't care about at all, but his death really fascinated me. There was some element where I was like, oh, you can really know a person after they die.
Yeah.
And I remember he was like, my son's father was like, this is your art. Like this weird, all this time you waste doing these things where you're prying into strangers' lives. This is your art.
Professional Snoop. Yeah.
Professional Snoop. So I started a zine.
Oh, I love zines.
And I have a great zine. We'll get you caught. I'm not writing it anymore because I don't have time. But I started a zine that got very, very, very popular. That was every issue had a different sort of theme. So the first one was celebrity death. The second one was crime. The third one was drugs. The fourth one was disappointment. And the fifth one was doubles.
Well-rounded.
Usually crimes with twins or people that become somebody else.
Oh.
That one is a good one. So that's how I ended up where I am. I didn't, I wanted to do things that couldn't be monetized until I figured out that there is a way to monetize them.
Yeah, absolutely. I would definitely sign up for a zine. I used to run a zine as well. Just every episode, every issue was the same. That was about the Spice Girls.
Oh, see, but that's what I love.
Wannabe Weekly.
Wannabe Weekly. Love it.
Pretty big hit.
I love fandom so much.
Me too.
If you went to Corinne's childhood bedroom, it is a museum dedicated to pop culture.
What do you got?
I mean,
walk me in it.
Tim Curry is a big part of it. I have a plaster cast of his face. I have the towel that he used in Charlie's Angels. Like I have my dad was in the business of memorabilia.
You know, I'm writing a book on Hollywood memorabilia.
Incredible. Incredible.
What?
So I mean, I grew up on like it being very appropriate to be obsessed with people. Like my mom has her favorite singer's boot in our den. Emmylou Harris, and my brother's named after Christopher Lee, which is my dad's favorite actor to ever portray Dracula.
This is so
I mean,
wild.
She grew in a fun
it's
house.
It's obsessive,
so
and I mean, I have
wild.
obsessive compulsive disorder, and I go, I wonder where that came up
Do you
from.
think a lot of us do? Because I have it too.
I don't think I do.
I could get
I just
it.
have anxiety. Ooh, how?
A lot of artists have it, I think. And I mean, because you can use it, it can be really helpful in the road to success if you are able to control it a little bit. But, as you know, sometimes the OCD ends up controlling you.
Sometimes it goes down the bad road.
Right.
Well, I want to talk to you about your memorabilia collection because I have a theory that the memorabilia becomes, especially sort of insignificant memorabilia, like a boot, or a towel.
Yeah.
This is right up my alley. This is what I love. I have a theory that it becomes like the proxy for the body. So when you have access to the thing, it's almost, and I'm using this word, but I obviously don't mean it literally, but I think that it really illustrates this kind of necrophilic impulse that we as a culture have towards celebrity. We want, and it's the same thing that I have where I'm like, I want to read every maybe true and maybe not true account of what Lane Staley's condo in Seattle looked like when he died in it. Like, I don't care if it's true. I don't care if it's real.
What are people saying?
What is the fantasy that gets churned up by this person? What is the fantasy that gets churned up that we so badly want
It's a mirror to humanity. It is a mirror to humanity.
Well, I think celebrity is the ultimate mirror, right? Like when you look at the screen, what the screen is supposed to do when the circuit is really complete is it shows you yourself. Right. So that's why we love stars. That's why we love who we love.
Well, that's why my theory on why people love Taylor Swift so much. I mean, she's writing really relatable songs. She comes out on midnights with Anti-Hero, and everyone thinks, all the lines in that song are about themselves.
No one could understand. And also, this is about me. And then the other thing is that people think, when fandom is like really complete, like your mom thinks no one could appreciate this Emmylou Harris boot the way that I do because I love her the most.
Right.
Which is where it gets really exciting for me. And then it goes back into my show, me and Lena's show, which again, I think all of this sort of this complex that gets built up around celebrity is people either saying no one can love you the way that I love you, or you've disappointed us. You're not me.
When fans get disappointed in you, it can be bullying.
It can be more than bullying.
I always am so careful about that because I've experienced it firsthand. So like no matter what the Spice Girls do, like when they put out Forever, was it their best work? No, but I supported them.
Right.
And I said I'm going to listen to Holler and I'm going to support the cause. And
artists got to try stuff.
Exactly. And it's they have, you can't be the same all the time. And if it's not all going to be a success.
And I think that's something that happens also. I was, like I'm in some kind of nostalgia vortex where I only want to listen to Frank Black and the Pixies.
Nice.
And so I was like, I'm going to listen to the new Frank Black. And I heard it. And it's like, the thing that happens is that when you're into something from the past, like when you think about the Spice Girls, I'm getting instructions from the ref. When you are thinking about the Spice Girls, you're thinking about the age you were when you first encountered them. So it's a time capsule.
Oh, I remember the moment I heard Wannabe, where I was sitting in my room, what I was doing. I mean, I guess I was 12. Incredible. I was sitting at my little tea table doing my homework, and this song came on, and I mean, it was like, it was a movie. I dropped my pen. I go, Matrix. I said, what is this? what is this? This is the best thing I've ever heard in my life.
Which one was your favorite?
Well, it was Wannabe at the time. Is like the one that made me stop in my tracks.
But which girl?
Oh, Posh has always been my favorite.
The fucking click clack of the heels. I can fucking hear the first 1 second of that click clack and know that it's that song.
Because I'm much older than you ladies, so I remember them in a different way. I'm 87 years old. I remember them in a different way. But I think that what happens and what fans often react to, and this is across the board in the entertainment industry, is that when a band or an actress or an artist tries something new, it is like it comes across as sounding elderly or aged or out of touch, because we want them to reflect who we were when we first fell in love with it. And then you're like, oh my God, I'm getting old too.
Right.
Humanity hates change. It's just like a part of our brain just goes, no.
We hate it.
And it's like, well, if we just work a little harder to override that no, we can be opened up to so many things.
Yeah, because going on that, like Krystyna and I, we went to see Avril Lavigne recently when she was on tour with Machine Gun Kelly, and I think she's a really interesting example of someone.
Do you think he's hot?
Machine Gun Kelly, yes,
he threw a temper tantrum on stage, and I was like, ugh.
Oh, what happened?
Oh, I mean, like he's always throwing temper tantrums.
He was bragging about it was like $500,000 per minute if I go over, and he's like, that's
curfew.
okay. We're gonna be here for an extra 20 minutes, and then they cut his mic off, and he was like, fuck this, and he threw it on, and he like literally he threw the mic at a tech guy and then marched off stage, and we're like, wait, what just fucking happened?
Don't
And he
came back as your boyfriend.
Yeah, he was like, sorry guys, I'm only human. I go, no human does that.
No one does that.
No one does that.
You're too
Actually,
famous.
sir. Isn't that weird? It's like they get totally out of touch with their humanity.
Yeah, and this is someone who had very humble beginnings. It's like, how quickly things can change.
But
Power corrupts.
Don't you think that it's like if you looked at like a PET scan of his brain now, and you looked at a PET scan of his brain from 10 years ago, that there's especially people who are on stages, watch out, ladies of the stage. I think there's something like deifying about having an audience of people who fucking clap for you and worship you and call your name and give you a woohoo. There's something, it must feel incredible. Does it feel incredible?
It's a little overwhelming for me, but I like it's something that like because I came into wanting to be famous, obsessed with people who are already famous. I'm like I feel like I have like an unofficial degree in like what fame does to people and how people react to it. So I'm like constantly hyper aware of like not believing my own hype. But
I would love to do a case study on you and your childhood memorabilia.
You should. She's a very interesting person.
It's like it's a loop.
There's no one like her. There's no
one like her.
Well, also with fame though, it's like, you know, when you like a hot, like I have a friend that's like really hot, but like in New York, we see them all the time, like hot people that are so hot that you're like,
can I see a picture?
Sure, I'll show you later.
We both have like we both have like a stop
couple
in the
friends
streets,
that are like
hot friend.
Whoa.
She has a female one, I have a male one,
and I watch her get treated totally different than everybody else.
So funny.
And it's so interesting. I love taking this in, and then when I see hot people, I just treat them like they're better than me. I don't know why. It just kind of just naturally happens.
Yeah.
But that was celebrity.
They are better than us.
I know.
No,
it's the closest
God
thing you can get to becoming a celebrity without being a celebrity is being a hot person.
You literally have to do nothing. But with celebrity,
God likes them better.
Yes, she does. But when you're a celebrity, it's that times 1,000 because you're getting your ass kissed by everybody. Whereas maybe, you know, growing up, you had like you were treated well, like. And then people just are obsessed with you and they put you on this pedestal and they take your picture when you're at the grocery store and you're like, it's almost, I mean, it has to be possible to like not believe that or like be immune to that. But I cannot imagine the whole concept of power corrupts. Like when women started to get to CEO level, women started to like launder money. But when women started to run countries, women also started to like kind of fuck shit up too.
It's like some reaction to cannibalism, you know, like it. But this is why you have to see that film Tar. I'm doing an advertisement for Tar.
Yeah, I want to see
this is what it's about. Like what happens specifically to the female brain who is encountering public worship.
Yeah.
And how much more do we love to bring her back down to earth?
Right.
Well, that's the thing, because the thing that keeps me
punishing.
like a little immune from it, I think, is like understanding right out of the gates how conditional this love that people have for me is. And it's like my love for myself is not conditional, so my love is always going to trump their love. That's why it's like doesn't affect me as much.
But I also wonder how much of your handle on this comes from growing up in a household that was constructed around how culture worships our celebrities, especially American culture.
Yeah. Perhaps. I don't know. I was raised with conditional love, so I'm super used to it. But I get like but the thing is with Guys We Fucked, I'm so naked on this podcast that I've been through bouts of terrible depression. I've just been through so much shit in the last 10. We've been doing this for fucking 10 years. And I was reflecting on that because we're doing our 500th episode. And
wow, you guys.
Yeah, and I was like,
and it feels like it.
Yeah, for sure. But I've been looking back and I'm like, oh my God, the amount of times that like shit went so wrong in my life and I just fucking talked about it. Like, and it's so interesting. So I think there's something a little bit different with us. Obviously we're not as famous as like somebody like Lena, but like
I are pretty famous.
I show my uglier sides and it's accepted. And that is awesome because I was raised with conditional love. I'm like, oh wow, you like think it's nice and you can connect with me because I am honest about when I want to die.
Well, but also like next year, but also do you feel like when you started the show, part of it was, you know, we live in a world that's so polished and constructed and we're going to be honest. And
that was certainly part of it.
That's the beauty of podcasting too, especially when we started.
And the nature of the beginnings of the podcast was literally sitting down with a guy that Corinne or I had sex with and being like, what'd you think of it? And just having these that was the only opportunity. We were creating an opportunity to have these really uncomfortable conversations that we were interested in having. So I think that
well, it's interesting also because I feel like you guys opened up so many opportunities for so many women, especially in terms of...
That's what I keep trying to tell people.
In terms of pocket, but it's true.
Yeah, because it's like all you have to do is be genuine, you know? Yeah. Thank you.
People just get mad.
Well, they get mad because they're like, well, she's right, so fuck her.
I go, oh yeah, sorry we made the standard pay rate for you higher. That was terrible of us.
And also like opened up a lane, I think. Like Call Her Daddy and all those shows, I think they don't exist without this.
It's incredible that we didn't even pay her to say this.
I know.
Kind of stuff.
You think we did, but we really didn't.
At all. They didn't even give me a glass of water.
Oh shit! Do you want one?
No, I'm just kidding. I've got Nicorette.
This is. One thing I wanted to ask you about your personal life.
Yes,
you have a very interesting scenario that Corinne and I have always been fascinated by because it's rare, but like when we do hear about it, we're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
You got married to the same guy twice?
I did.
Tell me more. Tell us more.
Well, thank you so much. I just got some water in a box.
We're giving them so much for speaking of free and not being compensated.
Guys, can you if anybody knows boxed water, just send us free ones.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you love to get like some kind of commercial partnership that doesn't necessarily have to be on your pod? You know, do you guys follow Regret Counter, my drug Instagram account?
No.
Oh, I did. I followed it after you talked about it on the C Word.
So my dream, I have this Instagram account where people send me in anonymous lists of their hard nights out.
Yeah.
What's the handle?
Regret Counter. And when I started, I thought, I'm going to get sponsored by Promises Malibu and it's going to change.
How specific.
And then you can have like a free stay there.
It hasn't happened yet. Okay, so my double marriage, which you might be surprised to hear happens more than you think.
Oh, really?
It does.
I'm just fast. It feels very wealthy. It just feels, well, something about it.
I understand because you're like, I don't care what anyone thinks.
Well, do you have two weddings?
We had like a real wedding and then like a sort of shitty downgrade.
We're doing it again.
But we met when I was maybe 19.
Oh, so young. Okay.
A teenage fashion model.
Oh, wow.
And he was going to, I met him and he was like on his way into Columbia for graduate school to be an artist.
Ooh.
And a couple of years went by. We were together, and I was like, this guy is so smart and I'm so dumb. I better go to school. So I go to college, I meet Lena. And then he proceeds to get very, very, very unusually famous.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Unusually famous.
I would say unusually famous.
By which way? How?
As an artist.
By art standards.
Huge,
what was his art?
huge.
Painting, sculpture?
He's a sculptor.
Okay.
Yeah, that's unusual.
It was
famous
very
sculptor.
unusual, and it really destroyed our marriage.
Really?
Yes. And then we split. He, had a drug problem and a fidelity problem. And we split. And then like maybe a year later, we got back together.
Okay.
And we were like, this was real. This was real love. Let's get married again.
Yeah.
Be together. And it lasted, I'm going to say, 9 months. The second marriage lasted 9 months.
Okay. And what?
So I was divorced twice by the time I was 30.
Nice.
How long
With
was the first marriage?
But only
The
one
first
guy.
marriage was 2001 to 2004.
Two divorces, one guy.
So when you hear it laid out, you're kind of like, oh, it's not that insane.
Why marriage? Like, what did marriage mean to you?
I think that we both came from a very particular subculture. So we were both into, hardcore and punk rock. And it was such a, sometimes I think that when you're an unconventional person or into subcultural things, the conventional has this really intense romantic lure.
Oh, yeah.
And it seems like the thing that you shouldn't do, but you do it because it feels like
two punks found love.
Exactly. It's like really juvenile thing. So yeah, we married, divorced. And then I was so fucked up after the second divorce, so depressed. He was still incredibly famous. And I was like, I'm a fucking loser. Like, I can't even hold on to this guy.
Was it the same things that broke you up the second time? Because it usually is by like...
Was infidelity again?
Men don't cheat. Of course.
Yeah, okay.
Anyone who... And how many times have we said this to young ladies? Men don't change. So don't expect it. If you can live with the behaviors that you have felt injured by in the past and you feel like you can get over them, get back together. I don't give a fuck. But if you can't live with it...
I'm super into infidelity. I've read a lot of Esther Perel's books on it. She has a book called The State of Affairs, which is super interesting. And it goes through the viewpoints of every person that's a part of the affair. Oh. The wife that cheated on usually, or husband, and the partner who cheats, and then the third person.
Right.
It's really interesting because she poses this question. Dan Savage also poses this question, but he's gay. In the gay community, he says this. He's like, if we had to be picky, we wouldn't fucking... Like, there's only like 3 gay guys in my town when I was growing up.
Right.
So, our choices were limited. But like the fact that infidelity can make a relationship stronger was an interesting concept to me. And it made me go, what the fuck are you... I reacted so poorly to that concept. And then over time it grew on me, but I still have yet to see an example.
Well, I think it only works... I have a friend whose name I'm not going to say because he's a person of note. And I don't want to get him in trouble with his wife.
Chad appreciates that. Chad's our lawyer.
He once gave me this advice that I thought was really good. And he said, if you're going to fuck around, make sure it's with someone you don't like. Because that's when it goes sour. Is when you start to get this romantic... Because the other thing that happens in my experience is that if someone is cheating on you and they have another girl that you don't know about, the other girl will often do this kind of erotic triangulation where they try to get close to you in a way that is...
I know this all too well.
You know this?
She does.
Because I've done it, as...
I've cheated before.
Me too. I've been on every side of it.
Yeah.
Every side of it. So you sort of turn around the circle or look around the room of infidelity, if we're going to give it like a architectural space, and you understand every corner. And the way that it gets corrupted is that I think especially with women, there's something in our brains where we emotionally cathect via sexual intercourse, and it's very easy to have this illusion of love. I'm sure men do it too, but women, and I think it's within our nature, and it just makes it, if your feelings get split and you can't be honest about it, which is I guess why everyone's into polyamory now. They're like, we're just going to do it in our house.
Right. We have this, people email us and be like, I think I'm poly. I'm like, you're 22.
You're 22, you just
don't
want
be
to
tied
fuck
down.
everybody.
Just fuck everybody. Then.
Yeah, I
Don't,
agree.
You know, you don't have to be poly.
You don't.
But like, there's
Imagine the grocery bills. It's like,
well, you share them, but like, there's so many aspects to infidelity. But the one thing that Esther Perel pointed out, and that's just it's an obvious one, but like a larger portion of the population cheats than doesn't, or is involved in infidelity somehow. And so if that's the case, then maybe it's monogamy that's not working, or it's our communication skills, probably.
I mean, I think the one bonus of infidelity, if you're the person who's cheating, is that the guilt is so overwhelming that you lavish your real partner in love and praise and affection for a little while until you resent them so much that you're like,
because they're preventing them from being with the other person.
You know, I'm going to give a true confession because I don't think anyone I work with in the gallery world listens to this podcast. So I'm going to put it like this. So I have this job. It's like a real job that people go to like fucking college for.
Oh, cool.
And I'm in there and I'm like, you fucks went to college to do this boring job. But I want to get out. I've got other stuff going on. At the moment, I'm like living two lives, right? So I have my podcast. I just wrote a film treatment that's got greenlit. So I have to write a script. So I have all this stuff going on. And when I go into work, and they pay me well. It's not, I'm a director at a blue chip gallery. It's like real job. But when I go in there, I so resent the fact, even though it's like with consent, of course, and this is a responsibility that I've agreed to, I resent being there so much that the other day I was like, this is like when you're cheating on someone and you fucking can't look at them. Like, you so resent that they're taking up the time when you could be fucking your new boyfriend that you can't. You're just in a crabby mood. Like, I drag my ass.
You're in a hell of your own
around.
making.
Yes. Yeah. And it's like, whatever the bondage of morality or responsibility, or like, I don't want to move because it's too complicated and I have too many books to carry out of this apartment. It makes logistics, but it makes you, it turns up the dial on your cruelty. And I think that that's the one thing to be really careful of if you're gonna, dabble around in infidelity.
Yeah.
I just couldn't even say that word because I felt so ashamed.
Can I ask how, I'm always interested to see how people found out.
Oh, this was so horrible. So you always know, right?
Yeah. I know. And then you feel crazy because you're like, well, now I'm going to have hard evidence because I can't just say it's a gut feeling because you can deny it and try to make me feel crazy.
I know it. I know it. I would confront him and he'd be like, and I think the other thing that happens when you're cheating on someone is that if you're confronted about it and you're not willing, because you don't want to move your books out of the house, you're not yet willing to admit to it,
your life,
you are able to convince yourself that it's not true.
Yeah.
Or that either you deserve it, or that it's you double down as though it's not true.
Yeah. Yeah.
To be confronted, to be called a liar is, I think, one of the most painful things on earth. So when someone's like, I know you're doing this thing, I know you're cheating on me, you're lying, the response is always, you're crazy. Generally, it's very rare that someone will be like, you're right.
Right.
Yeah.
Got me.
You got me.
I would respect someone so much if they just said you got me.
Yeah, because it's like, I'm giving you an out. Let's just end this now, or talk about it now. Like, don't you feel fucking guilty? There's no way you don't.
Well, last time I confronted someone about that, it's like the relationship was already over. I had already broken up with him, and I was like, and I was just, it was like kind of like this ellipses at the end of the relationship, and I was just like, BT Dubs, did you cheat on me? and then I just say yeah. Like, if he just said yes, we would have been like
easier.
It would have been done.
Too hard to.
And then I had to ruin his life instead, and that was like a lot of time out of my day. That was a lot of time out of my day that I could have spent doing something else.
Probably more than one day.
Many days. Still, sometimes I do it now.
I do too. I'm still talking about this. It was like 57 years ago. I found out he left his email open.
Oh God.
He wanted you to find out.
And I fucking read them like I was going to fucking college for it. I read them like
once you sit down at that computer, you're like, I'm in it to win it for the next 10 hours.
But it's also that
it's high.
Absolutely.
Oh my God. When you're
700
snooping,
pieces of Nicorette in your brain.
With snooping, I have done it a few times. Oh my God, it's like a crack. I'm like a crack addict.
You're like, what's next? What's next?
If someone calls me, I'm like, shut the fuck up. I'm snooping. Like I get so.
But it's also that old saying, you know, if you have an instinct that makes you want to snoop, you're going to find something.
We always say that. We always say that.
If you feel it, it's happening. Yeah. And whoever it is can tell you that you're crazy, but they're just a liar.
When you do have like insecurities about yourself, though, it is sometimes like, is it my own insecurity? You know, I don't know. I got to find out.
Well, the only thing I'll say about getting older, because I'm 45 years old.
You always talk about yourself like you're ancient. I'm like, there's no way you can be that old.
I'm pretty old. I'm 45. So I will say
really not old.
that something there is a dial that turns in your brain where you're like, I don't give a fuck. Like you just kind of stop giving a fuck. You don't have the same kind of, your identity isn't as reliant on like if you're fuckable or if somebody is like obsessed with you.
The beauty of getting older is that
it's like it's an incredible thing. And I remember when I was in my 30s, I would think like, oh man, like women really get crabby after a certain point. Like they just stop taking shit.
Yeah.
And when you're a young person, you're like, what a bitch.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, oh, you just fucking stop taking shit.
Yeah.
You're like, this is my line.
Yeah.
If you want to cross it, I don't care.
Yeah, because old men are crabby too, but just like women just keep fucking them.
It's true.
Even with the crabby.
They do.
Because even like people, you know, I just turned 37. Like people around my age, like men are getting crusty. And I'm like, I don't want to be around this.
But do you find are you attracted to men your age or older or younger guys? What's your thing?
All across the board. Well, I used to go
in it all.
I used to go older.
What's the oldest you've gone?
Like 52.
Would you go 70?
No.
Honestly, I've seen some hot 70-year-old guys.
Unless Tim Curry offered to fuck.
Is he still among us?
Yeah, he's in a wheelchair, but
all right, that's all right.
I straddle that wheelchair.
You know that Christopher Reeves could still do it.
Yeah, I mean Tim Curry. More of the problem is, you know, and Chad. You know, he's not officially out, but I don't. You know, at best bisexual, definitely not a straight man. So
Tim Curry.
Yeah.
I never thought about it. You know what I love him in?
Spent a lot of time thinking about it.
I know, I love this. Is Clue.
Yeah.
He's
one of his best performances.
Incredible.
Yeah, but I mean, like, so now I think something about dating someone younger flipped a switch in my brain and made me a lot more like attracted to people that normally I would have been like repulsed by,
right?
And it made me kind of repulsed by older guys.
Well, and when Corinne had such rave reviews about how much better young guys fuck, I'm like, now I'm starting to get horny when I see like a 23-year-old guy.
23.
Like a 23, which is younger than
I mean, you don't have to talk to him to fuck him, I guess.
Right.
But also when you talk, it's like I understand why men like to date young, dumb women because it's like it's lighter to be around.
Right.
I have all the things inside me that I need. I'm 37 years old.
Right.
I'm successful. I have my own money. I followed my dreams. I did all the things that I wanted, or I'm in the midst of doing all the things that I want to do. So really, I just want someone who's gonna like hang out and do fun stuff with me.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that I
don't be like, oh, I have to pay. If you don't have the money, then we're going to vacation where I want to go. So just have fun.
See, that's kind of heaven.
Yeah, I don't want to hear like a long stories or like complaints.
It's funny. I
have all those things myself.
I get resentful sometimes, or I catch myself because I talk back to it. Like when Corinne talks about how she's around a lot of male comedians that she has as close friends, and they talk around her or in front of her about women as if she's a guy, like she's like one of the guys, and it's like broken her heart.
Men don't think women can be funny, right?
The comedians that we hang out with respect female comedians.
We've just been around too long, so either if we were gonna fuck, we've already fucked, and then I get deposited in the man slot, or they never wanted to fuck to begin with, so then man slot again.
And they say like hurtful things about prizing a young woman or whatever. And I've heard in my lifetime, like recent years, I've heard like a guy in his 40s be like, oh, I wish I could be like him and just date a 22-year-old. I'm like, ugh, what the fuck? But and I resent sometimes when men are like, I just want to date like a 22-year-old. But I'm like, yeah, I get now that my views are slowly like changing, and the lightness that you talked about, and like how much they want to fuck and how their dick works really well. I'm like, I kind of see it.
The only problem is,
so I'm sorry, old men. That
I went out with a guy who was a decade younger than me for like 5 years.
Nice.
But the only problem, it is fun and they're so hot, and it's like supple and, you know, they're like impressed with you that you remember shit. You know, they're like, you went to Lollapalooza and saw, you know,
right.
But the problem is when you try to be like, oh, remember 1997 and how fun it was? And they're like, no, I
wasn't born yet.
I wasn't born in 1990. And then you're like, oh,
shit.
That doesn't bother me though. I mean, my ex-boyfriend once asked me if I was
show you the world.
He once asked me if I was an adult when the first Men in Black came out. I said, how old do you think I am?
I probably
that's
was.
adorable.
I was.
That's adorable.
Tell me your friend Alissa Bennett was.
That's adorable.
Probably getting my third divorce when Men in Black came out.
He goes, you were an adult when it came out. No, I fucking wasn't. What the hell are you talking about?
Wait, so back to something that, how did you find out that your ex was cheating?
You had an inkling.
You had an inkling, but then you did the emails, right?
Well, it was like I was trying to get in the emails. I kept trying to get in the emails.
Well, he left it open.
And it was like, this is going to really date the story. It was like a Hewlett Packard desktop computer.
Nice. Okay.
And for some reason, it wasn't like it was on the screen, but I clicked something and it came up and I did a search for her name and it was like,
oh, you knew the name.
oh yeah.
You always know who it's gonna be.
This is what I'm saying about erotic
I do.
triangulation, because I would be in a room with these two all the time. You just
And they were, you sensed
if
it.
you feel it is fucking happening. I would say that 1% of the time, if you're like, my boyfriend or my girlfriend is fucking this person, it's 1% of the time that it's not happening.
Wow.
It is it's just happening. You just have to go with God and know that it's happening.
So you typed in her name and you saw email correspondence that was like,
oh my God, that was
sick
like,
dick.
when will you leave your wife?
oh, Jesus.
And I was like, fucking today.
Damn.
Dear bitch.
Right.
Today. Yeah.
Do you know what I did? Because it wasn't just one person. There was a point after I had my son, and I would have to see all these people because I work in the art world also.
Okay.
And you would just have to like be in a room with them or be at a dinner with them. I wrote them all letters.
Wow.
And I said,
I love this.
I forgive you.
Best person.
I was like, I forgive you.
And I love that because that's actually the most hateful thing you could say to someone.
Hateful.
Beautiful.
It's so
well
hateful.
played.
Well played indeed.
So
God, I wish I had the reins on my own temper to be able to do that. That is such an admirable response to it.
Well, it was for me, not them.
Right, of course.
I was like, I don't want to have to be in a room with you and be like, you ruined my life.
Right.
Because that's a loss of power. It's keep
True.
your power.
Keep your power. And I'm somebody who I have to remind myself, like, don't give your power away. Don't give your power, because I've been giving it away
I get
since.
it too. I am like a rageaholic.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm like an unexpected rageaholic.
Me too.
Like I'll repress. And then it's like one seemingly minor thing becomes the container for everything I've
and
repressed.
Then your
So
fucking
people
dog
are
hides under the couch and you're like,
scared of me.
Yeah. So that was the first time? The first round?
Yeah.
Was the emails. And then so when
The
you got back
second round-
together, were you like, hey, let's not cheat?
Yeah,
Did
he
you
was
say
like,
it?
we're supposed to be together. Of course.
Okay.
Or maybe we didn't say it. I thought it was
Some people are
implied.
like, I'm just going to hope that you're not going to cheat.
But then
You
the
would
next
think.
time it was a similar situation where I would see them together. We would be at parties together.
Okay.
I remember one of them being like, do you have any Coke? And I was like, no, I don't have any Coke. Fuck yourself. And after this party, he was like, how would you talk to her like that? So it was.
But that's ballsy. That's the same person he had already cheated with still remained in his life.
No, it was a different person.
Oh, okay.
A new one. This is second marriage.
Because I was like, what the fuck? Okay.
But this is all just to say that the pattern was exactly the same.
Okay.
And if you feel some shift in your relationship, it's because there's been a shift in your relationship.
Yeah.
Like, you know, intuition is a fucking real thing.
And it's so powerful.
And it's often... Intuition is often mislabeled as craziness.
Yeah, well, especially for women, I think. And I'm really into the afterlife and like psychic mediums and stuff. I'm trying to like train to be one. And one of the things I learned about intuition through various exercises is how subtle it is.
Oh,
and so it's so easy to like a zoom,
it's like
it
a
just
wind,
zooms
a
by, and you're like,
breeze.
wait, was that my intuition or was that just like my monkey mind going like, I don't know, this could happen.
It's like a breeze.
Yeah, it is.
It's funny. There was one time, this is like totally unconnected, but I was maybe like 30. It was right after my second divorce. I was in my early 30s and I was coming home from the subway and I saw this guy looking at me and I was like, I don't want this guy to talk to me. And I went into a deli to like wait it out because I felt it. It was not like he wasn't leering. It was just a fucking feeling I got. It was a vibe. And so I waited in this deli. I looked out, I didn't see him, and my apartment was like 3 blocks away. And I walked to my apartment and I have my key in the lock and I'm opening the door and he runs across the street with a set of keys out. And he's like, oh, thanks for getting the door. And he started to push the door in and I said, who are you here to see? And he said, I'm here to see you.
And
Happy
Halloween.
Right? And I said, my husband is upstairs, a lie, and you better get the fuck out of here. But I thought it is this animal thing in your brain that predates like language and like organized cognition. It's animal. And if you feel it, fucking act on it because it's correct. It's always correct.
And you'll never regret acting on it.
Never.
I don't think I've ever regretted acting on my intuition.
There are some like stats too that like, anytime like a woman, is attacked, like she had, there's like staggering stats like she basically denied her own intuition. Like, because women then, start calling themselves crazy because we're called crazy by society so often. And, that usually results in death or injury.
And I think the pressure to be nice.
Yeah.
Like that you're taught to be nice, be nice, be nice, which is why we accept a lot of things. It's why we will accept a partner who's like, you're crazy, I'm not cheating on you. It's why we will accept some, like fucking Ted Bundy. I'm injured, help me with my bag. And as a nice girl.
Sure.
So,
well, even with podcasting, it's so interesting between podcasting, like with women versus men, because like women love to like critique me on how I speak to like my male co-hosts when, men continuously talk down to me on podcasts and no one ever mentions it, including women. And you're like, oh, you have been trained by society to be like so doting over men and like all your ideas are great. And like, I'm going to wait until you finish that sentence. And like, are you okay? It's like, this is also a grown ass adult. And he can also say if he wants me to change the way I'm speaking. Meanwhile, getting interrupted constantly, getting gaslit on my own fucking shows, just like in true insanity. True insanity.
And it's everywhere.
Men got balls.
Yeah,
they got some balls.
Yes.
Even ones where it's like, I had a recent interaction with this guy who's like no shade against short guys, no shade against guys who are not handsome looking, but he was like a short, not great looking guy who
better have a good personality.
Doesn't, and he came at me in this way, and I thought, even fucking you, like this is why women hate men, and I don't hate men, but I thought this is why
we go through phases. Though we go through phases, and especially on this podcast, we hear such horrific stories of specifically men's bad behavior and like just so selfish and dickish that I have to like talk myself out of that. I have to back out of that phase intentionally of like being nice to men, because it's not all men at all, but the ones that suck so much harder than the women who suck.
And they don't get fixed.
No. And they don't want to. And they just want to carry on. And I'm like, oh, God, I want you to be stopped in front of me. In front of everyone you've ever loved, to be humiliated. Yeah. What? Wait, I want another question that left me about your personal life. Or what are you doing now? Are you dating?
Yeah, I have a really great boyfriend who I guess will get married. He wants to get married.
How long have you been together?
Like 5 years.
Oh.
And it's funny, there are certain men, it's interesting because I think that there are certain attributes that read as feminine, like wanting to get married, like you're mine, right? And you think, oh, that's what girls do, but men do it too. And he really, he wants to chain me to his house in a way.
See, I find everything almost that men do feminine, but I actually don't find that to be super feminine.
Really? I always thought
like I'm claiming you.
I find it like, I feel it like they're like peeing on me, which to me is masculine.
Yeah, maybe
Calvin
that's a
Hobbes
better way to look at it.
Like Calvin Hobbes on a Chevy logo.
Yeah, maybe that's the way to look at it.
Is he either in your same age range or?
We're exactly the same age.
Oh, cute.
He and my son are best friends.
Oh, that's
They
Your
love
son is
each other.
so sweet. I'm obsessed with your kid.
He is, but with him, I'm often like, he told this story so insignificant, but he was in school and they had like some presentation, and some kid, part of his presentation was that he brought a baguette in, and they passed the baguette around, and Ollie was like, and you know what I did? I took the biggest piece of the baguette, and I was like, that's man shit. Like, that's some fucking man shit.
Right.
Like, watch yourself.
Yeah.
That's how it starts.
Don't be greedy.
You're in a
You're
room
taking
and you're going to
entitlement.
take the biggest piece.
Yeah, the entitlement.
It is real.
Yeah. Do you have that in mind when you raising a son? It's been said a lot, and it's when you think about it, you're like, yeah, this could be. Although don't put the onus on like the mothers of sons, but raising little boys to be respectful is like how the future will change.
Well, I agree, but one thing that I will also say is that the problem is, as the mother of a son, when you get this little son, it's like the only uncomplicated romance you will ever have. It's just love, love, love. I could cry.
That's how I feel about my dad. I get that.
Uncomplicated
That's so
love
beautiful.
affair. And so you do, it does become difficult. Like when men go out and kill people and their mothers are like, my son is innocent. He's not a monster. And it's just an inability to reckon with certain behaviors because it is this love affair,
angel.
this romance.
Yeah.
So I do try to be really cognizant about that, because I know that he is in many ways spoiled by my affection.
Yeah.
It's
But
just
you're
the
aware of
truth.
that. So I think that the damage that could
Don't kill
possibly
anyone,
do,
Ollie.
well, that could possibly do is probably going to be minimal because you are aware of it. We've seen, every woman knows a guy that the mother is like, my son can do no wrong. No one is good enough for my son. This is my baby. Don't fucking look at him that way. And you're like, oh my God.
Well, the really scary thing is that you have to start teaching them, and maybe it's not scary, it's just like a big responsibility. You have to teach them about consent from like age 3, because kids want to touch everybody.
Yeah.
And they want to, invade your personal space. And it's, thankfully we're at a point in culture and history when there are consequences for touching someone without their consent. But
Finally.
it's like you have to start immediately. And I think little girls are not as much like that, because there's this great psychological difference between the interiority of women and the exteriority of men. It's like projection versus the inside.
Yeah.
And little boys are grabby, and they're, it's like that's a real.
Yeah, my nephew's had issues with that, and I talked to my brother about that. I'm like, how do you fucking have that conversation? Like, it's just
You have to have it when they're really little.
yeah, like you can't like a little boy could grab like a strange woman's like a woman that he doesn't know's tits, and you're like, oh God, and you're like, you don't want to get mad, you don't want to be like, fucking, well, you just assaulted, because it's the gravity of the situation. But yeah, you got to walk a tightrope with that,
and like not sexually traumatize someone,
right, and not make them feel bad. Yeah.
Have you thought about how you'll handle when it's time for him to like go out into the world and date people? Have you?
I'm gonna be so fun. Like,
Nice.
bring all those girls over. It's
Yeah.
so fun. I don't think I'll be the kind. I have a best friend who is always like, she has 2 kids that she had when we were in our 20s. And she was always like, oh, when my kids get older, I'm going to let them fuck in the house. And I'm kind of like, I don't know.
That's a little too close.
I
for
don't know
comfort.
about fucking in the house.
Right,
Yeah.
Just
right,
don't do it
right.
in a bush like everybody else does.
Yeah, or a van, a minivan.
A van.
Yeah. An Uber,
An Uber.
whatever.
Movies.
I think it builds character having to find a place to fuck.
It does.
Yeah.
I agree.
I had so much sex
Can't
in
make it
minivan.
too easy.
Yeah, it's fun. It makes you appreciate and respect sex.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being on the
You
show,
guys,
Alyssa.
this was such a thrill for me.
It was
a thrill for us,
It was
too.
so fun.
Yay, we had a good time. What would you like to promote? Where can we find you online? Say anything.
I'm an incredibly disorganized person. So, I don't have a mailing list. I don't have any of those things. Listen to the C Word on Luminary. We're
good.
here. We're neighbors.
Yes.
And, you can Google my name up and find out more personal revelations about me. Tons of writing is around.
Very mysterious. I like it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
That's why you guys are in your 30s and all your dreams have come true. And I'm like, I've got a sink full of dishes at home.
But that, you know what? That's better. You still have things to
Right.
do. I'm just sitting around going, should I have a baby? I'm bored.
This
I don't
is
know
like
what to do.
when I was 15, me and my best friend who said that she was going to let her kids fuck in the house,
Right.
we made a vow to each other. And that vow was, let's save anal sex until we're older so we have something to look forward to.
That was smart.
Right. Yeah.
That's why I tell people about drugs and stuff. I go, you're going to need those later.
Well, that's why
yeah.
I'm saving being a psychic medium for like my 60s.
Oh, you're going to be incredible.
And I'm so looking forward to
You're
that.
going to be incredible.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
thanks.
Save something until you're older.
Yeah. Butthole, psychic
Yeah.
abilities, whatever.
Yeah.
Think of it now, guys. All right. Well, this has been Guys We Fucked, the anti-slut shaming podcast. We'll talk to you next Friday. We should give the president's wife a little job.